Welcome, science friends, to aerobic respiration. So a couple questions I want you to keep in mind during this video. Why do humans breathe oxygen? What's the point? And why don't we breathe in carbon dioxide? And can an organism survive without oxygen? Why or why not? So once again, here's that overview of aerobic respiration. We know that first blue box part of glycolysis, we've talked about that, and we're going to move into the mitochondria for the aerobic respiration. So we're going to learn about those three new processes of pyruvate oxidation, the Krebs cycle, and oxidative phosphorylation. Those are the three steps. So the goal of pyruvate oxidation, which is the second step after glycolysis, is to create more NADH. NADH is a energy-carrying molecule, so we want more of that to continue on through our processes. Step number 2, the Krebs cycle. The point of that is to produce a couple of ATP, more NADH, and some carbon dioxide. And our last step, oxidative phosphorylation, also sometimes called the ETC, the electron transport chain, is where the majority of our ATP is going to be produced. So starting with that first new process of pyruvate oxidation, the pyruvic acid coming from glycolysis is going to be transformed. It's not quite usable yet by our mitochondria to be turned into energy or ATP. It needs to be what we call oxidized. It needs to have oxygen attached to it so that it can be used in the next step, the Krebs cycle. So in order to do that, we have two reactants, the pyruvate that we made during glycolysis and some NAD+. Through this process, we're going to create more NADH. Again, NADH is that energy-carrying molecule that will need that energy later on in our aerobic respiration process. A new molecule you don't need to know the name of. If you're curious, you'll definitely learn that in AP biology. And carbon dioxide. That's definitely going to be one of our products. So now that we've changed the pyruvic acid into that new molecule, we can use it in the next step called the Krebs cycle. So that Krebs cycle takes that new molecule from the pyruvate oxidation and makes 2 ATP, more NADH, and a new electron carrier we've never heard of before. It's called FADH2. Again, just like NADH and NADPH, it's an energy-carrying molecule. We're attaching hydrogens to create bonds to trap some electrons, which is energy. And the last product is more carbon dioxide, more CO2. Then we get to our last step here, oxidative phosphorylation, or sometimes called the electron transport chain. We're taking all of those things we made in the previous two processes, a lot of NADH and a couple of FADH2s from the Krebs cycle. So now our reactants from the last 2 and 3, if you're including glycolysis, are going to become our reactants for the oxidative phosphorylation. We're taking NADH from glycolysis, pyruvate oxidation, and the Krebs cycle. We're taking FADH2 from the Krebs cycle and oxygen from the atmosphere. So as we breathe in, this is where the oxygen becomes really important. We're going to produce some really, really important ATP. This is where almost all the ATP is going to be formed. We're also going to produce the NAD+, because we're breaking off that hydrogen to release energy to go through this process. The same thing is happening with the FADH2. We're breaking off of those hydrogens to create FAD. The NAD+ and the FAD are lower energy molecules, kind of like the ADP. So once they get transformed, they go back to the other processes to be recharged. And water is going to be formed as a product as well. So we breathe in the oxygen so that we can create water and breathe out that water. We don't actually use that water. So that's where some of the hydrogens go from the NADH and the FADH2. They form with the oxygen we're breathing into a water molecule. So just a quick little table here to break down the steps with its different reactants and products and energy totals. So our very first step for all cellular respiration is glycolysis. Things go in, glucose and ADP. Product in terms of ATP, we get 2 ATP and 2 electron carriers or energy molecules of NADH. Some other notable products would of course be that pyruvic acid. That pyruvic acid moves on to the next step, the pyruvate oxidation, where we take the pyruvic acid and some NAD+. We want to produce more of those energy molecules, so we have 2 more NADHs and that new molecule that's heading off to the third step, the Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle takes that new molecule, makes 2 ATP, a lot of NADH, and some FADH2, so almost exclusively those energy molecules. And some CO2 is a product as well. We're heading into our very last step here. We're taking those electron carriers, those energy molecules of NADH and FADH2, as well as oxygen being breathed in from the atmosphere. So, coming back to those questions we started with, why do humans breathe oxygen? What's the point? Why not carbon dioxide? Well, without oxygen, the electron transport chain would not be able to produce ATP. Carbon dioxide is a waste product, so we don't want to breathe that in. It's not helpful to us. Our next question, can an organism survive without oxygen? Why or why not? Yes, an organism like bacteria or other prokaryotes can survive with just anaerobic respiration. Glycolysis and then fermentation, cycling through those as well. That was aerobic respiration. I hope it helped.